me to give you a mic check from up here real quick? Can you see me? Okay. Yeah, we should be good to go. No, that's Sergio from K-Fox. Let me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hey, Emma's giving me a call right now too. So let me take this. Let me see what's going on. I'll call you. I'll call you right back. Oh. Hey, what's up, Emma? Oh, no. You're good to go. You're good to go. Of course, yeah. Okay. As soon as it's up on TVU, I'll give KOAT a call, make sure that they're getting it too. Okay. Yeah, let me call their desk real quick. All right, I'll talk to you soon. All right. Hey, Lindsay, it's Jason with KVIA. How are you doing this morning? Good. Hey, check your guys' TVU and make sure that you got our stream on our end. They just set it up. They said that it should be good to go, just in case.
Sorry, I've got an obnoxious mic stand.
You and Colin Beaver both.
Sorry. Is this you, bud?
Yes.
Sebastian?
Sergio.
Sergio. I was close, dude.
Yes.
Told you it was obnoxious. It doesn't go lower.
Perfect. Thank you. Of course. All right, you too. All right.
These aren't tall people that
Where'd you go?
They're not. As long as it's not. Could you imagine?
They'll be right in front of my face, probably.
Sergio, put your mic right here. Got mic? Check, mic check, mic check. You good? 1 2 1 2 1 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 2 2 2 2 3 3 4 5 6 7. Are you good, Sergio?
Thank you, thank you. I'll put these here for now. We're going to hand something out as we close out so that you'll have some basis for questions, perhaps. I think we'll just go ahead and get started. See? No, that's all right. I'll do a countdown here. No, I'm. Thank you for coming. Seriously. All right, I am Kim Stewart. I am the Sheriff of Doña Ana County. And thank you for coming today. This is a big day for Doña Ana County Sheriff's Office. It's not often I get to come at you with good news, and this is a good news day. So let me explain. I've only had one undersheriff since I took office in 2019, only one. And one of the reasons that I went a traditional route at that point was because people who had done it, been there, done it, said, this is what you need. And what I realized as time went on, what we need is very individual to the agency or the organization. What is needed, for instance, in San Juan County or Chavez County may not be what we need. So over the last few years, I have not had an undersheriff, and it has been a really good period of time to reflect on what does an undersheriff do? What can they do? The bottom line in New Mexico, that is an appointment, a political appointment. And what you'll see some sheriffs do is just flip. So one terms out after 8 years, the undersheriff gets elected as sheriff, it flips over, and the former sheriff waits around, becomes the sheriff again. And what you'll see is no change. Those are organizations that are not dynamic. They are not moving forward. So I object. Even if I didn't have term limits and I was much, much younger, I still wouldn't have done that. That's not acceptable to me. These entities need to be dynamic. They need to be progressive in many ways because, as you know, in the media and the news, we're under a lot of scrutiny, really, by citizens of the United States about how we do business. And I'm one of those who says some of the things offered to us and suggested don't work, but you know what? Some things we do need to. We need to be more proactive about improving our profession. So in looking at the job of undersheriff, it is an appointment. I have 2 appointments. I can make an undersheriff and an assistant. That's it. And they are certainly serve at will. They have no employee rights per se. Traditionally, an undersheriff comes in and steps between the sheriff and the uniform command. That's a traditional way of looking at it. That's often a problem because the undersheriff often isn't from that particular agency. So there's often a lot of conflict that goes on in those agencies in order to give the undersheriff, if you will, that particular say in an organization. Also, I personally believe that those below me, the major in my case, the captains, the lieutenants, should be sworn individuals to run daily operations. They should have a commitment beyond to the sheriff. It should be to the office. It should be to the organization. And you're not going to get that unless you have sworn people in that particular chain. So I looked at this pretty carefully for the last few years and decided as time went on, what does DASO need? DASO needs an undersheriff, but one looking out, an outward looking undersheriff. Somebody who understands far more than even my particular role. Where can we make an impact at the state? Where can we make an impact even nationally? And get some, not only funding to us, but a recognition, number one, for what we've done. Like, as I said, I'll bring it up again, CALEA. We're only the 3rd in the state to be CALEA certified. That was an enormous lift. But legislators don't necessarily know that. They need to know that. They need to know we are moving on, that we are trying to bring best practices, 21st century policing to law enforcement. That's what this is about. So in looking at it, if you look at the statutes, very vague. It's essentially just like sheriff. It's what, with some exceptions, what I choose to make it. My predecessors chose their path, and the undersheriff now has a very specific path. So after this last election, I think the city council, the city of Las Cruces, lost a valuable district representative, a councilor, but I think it's our win. It's our win. So today I am announcing the undersheriff for Doña Sheriff's Office, the second since 2019, will be Tessa Abeta. So if you'd step up. So let me go back to this, and I'll have this handout for you. But what it is the duties and responsibilities that I and Tessa and my command got together and decided what this role would be. So let's look at the national trend and the national talk about different aspects of law enforcement. One is regional alliances, where we work with other offices and agencies and departments around us to bring in not only funds for us to not only share our message, but to share all of our message. Because the reality is, even if we combine all of us, we're a fairly small department. I have cross-commissioned nearly 420 people. Well, think about that. In some departments, that's a division. It's not even one department, right? So I'm just going to point out that we want this to be not only a boon for the sheriff's office looking forward, we want it to be a boon for the 5 police agencies in our county. And on that side note, I want to say our congratulations to Chief Jeremy Story on being named the chief. He is a wonderful collaborator, and we look forward to some of this regional asset being shared with our partners there. So when you see the responsibilities and the duties here, you'll see this is an outward-facing position. We are going to maintain our structure of command here, with the major is next. My captains are the 3rd layer. the lieutenants and so on. It doesn't impact day-to-day operations. And you'll be able to see that this is the link to link us back to our community, to be ears and eyes on the ground out there in ways we've maybe never been, or should have been, and could have been, and as well as bringing our voice to Santa Fe. So I'll comment at the close, but I'd like Under Sheriff Abeyta, it's the first time I've said that, to have a few moments to just share her thoughts.
Thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Sheriff Stewart. I'm honored to be joining Sheriff Stewart and the entire department. From the deputies to the support staff, everyone plays an integral role in helping make our constituents feel safer and improve the quality of life here in Doña Ana County. Sheriff Stewart continues to move the department forward into 21st century policing by using all the resources that she has available to bring forth innovative ways to address the challenges that our public safety department faces every day. I look forward to bringing my skills in advocacy and organizational development to the department in what will be a small area, but very much part of a wonderful team. So I am very honored to have this position, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Well, of course, we wanted to make this appointment before the session began up north, and as you well know, there are a lot of committees that we need to be present. We want a presence earlier on when laws are being written and thought about and created. And that is incredibly hard for a sheriff, a chief, to be so involved in the meat of some of those. That's where they go off the rails. They go off the rails when a good idea gets hijacked into something that becomes a really bad idea, and we can't work with some of these laws. So our intention too is to have the undersheriff be more of a presence there during the session. She has a lot of contacts. The other thing we have noted with this packet is her resume. And I did that for a reason. We did that so that we could show you her background is very much about outward facing issues, lobbying, organizational development, getting our voice out. And that's really important now as we go into the next 3 years, because we do have some pretty significant plans, and we want to make sure that our representatives in Santa Fe are aware of what we're trying to accomplish here in the rest of my term. So with that, anybody have a question?
Yes, just how do you spell your first and last name?
Yes, it's Tessa, and last name Abeyta, A, B as in boy, Eyta.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Justin, and then
Algin. You talked about a lot of what the position is going to be is sort of looking outward specifically towards your relationship with like state government. Can you be a little more specific about what the job responsibilities are going to be?
yes, I'll read them. No, I'm joking. I'm going to give it to you. But they're quite specific. So researching and monitoring government activities that could affect DASO and the public safety at large, assisting us with strategic planning for known and potential regulatory activities. So I won't read them all, Justin, to you, but I'm going to tell you that they're quite specific. One of my philosophies in life is to, and I'm going to misquote Shirley Chisholm from years ago, be at the table, be at every table. If you don't get invited, bring your own chair. It's poor quotation. Bring your chair. We have really made an effort for the last 5 years to be everywhere, to try to bring some of our perspective to whatever table we're at. You might say, well, why is that important? Why should law enforcement be at early childhood education conference, which I was invited to in Washington recently to address Senate staffers. Why? Well, for one thing, crime fighting actually starts with good early childhood care. And you might say, well, why does this matter? Further, when I was back there, I had a Senate staffer come to me and say, would you come back and speak to us on this? My senator from another state, by the way, wants to provide early childhood care to all first responders. So you say, well, gee, that didn't start out that way, but look where it ended up, see? So we want to be everywhere. And then the sad truth is when things go awry, who do they call? They call us. So if we're in there early on in some of these conversations, it certainly helps to, it gives us a leg up with information so that when things, if they do go awry, we can be a lot more responsive and helpful. So I'm not going to push your question off, Justin, totally, but I'm going to hand these out to you, all right? So that if you have questions after looking at them. Algernon?
Yeah, so it sounds like there is no active law enforcement role for the undersheriff as you're envisioning this appointment, but I'm wondering if just by the existence of the position, if the undersheriff does have any of that authority, or if there's going to be any management of the internal organization structure.
Yeah, great question. It's going to be, I'm going to do it by written a statement if something should happen to me. Actually, when I leave the United States, I do this anyway. So I tell the command on the other side of the house who's in charge in the event of. And so that is actually going to be written. While she has full power and authority of any undersheriff, it would be more of a collaborative effort if something were to happen to me between her and the major. The major runs day-to-day operations. He knows day-to-day operations, and she takes this role well aware of that. Her expertise is not in law enforcement. It is truly in legislative world and political world. So yes, she is fully empowered. But by the way, I brought this to my staff a month ago, and this was really the result of a collaboration with my command. We all looked at what was needed, and they, you still support me on this, don't you? Yeah, okay. No. So thank God you can cut this out, right? But it was very much appreciated because we're not that large, but we're large enough that we are really tasked on a regular basis with operational needs. So, for instance, during the session, she's going to be primarily working with committees up in Santa Fe. So it's very much a different role, and yet by law she is certainly fully empowered. So we're breaking ground, sir. What can I tell you? If my people don't know now that we break ground every day, we do. And this is new, and my idea is let's give it a try, and I think the undersheriff's pretty much on board with that flexibility. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about and explain how Undersheriff Abecha's previous experience as a councilwoman will be helping your department? I know you said she'll be going to Santa Fe and lobbying, but can you talk a little bit about what else you're looking forward to as she does have that prior experience?
I'm going to refer to her to answer that.
Thank you so much for that question. My experience started out in lobbying quite a few years ago, and then as I was able to be on the council, what I also learned was a lot about regional collaboration and state collaboration. I currently serve as president of the New Mexico Municipal League, where I learned a lot about different municipalities all across the state and how important it is that we all work and leverage things together. And as we look at southern New Mexico, oftentimes there is the critique that we don't often get the same voice at the table. And it's much better if we do that as a collective. So my experience in that organizational development and collaboration, I think is going to be really beneficial as we look towards regional projects. And from that, I really do have a interest in public safety items. I was pretty interested as well in my own municipality and really looking at the details of how things work and how policy works. And so those two experiences, I think, will really serve this department well.
Can I follow up that question really quick? So, you know, talking about that experience and how you will be going to Santa Fe to lobby, can you give us a glimpse or kind of a preview of what kind of things you're looking forward to lobbying for Doña County?
Well, I'm not quite on the job 100%, so I'm going to have to learn some more, but obviously it's going to be focused on policy and then funding and making sure that we get the resources that we need for the department.
We're looking for some specifics. One is regional training academy and facility. Right now, that's kind of spread all over the county, and even as we speak, we have offered the city to use our range rather than the public range. They're going to have a presence there. So we're really looking to a regional approach to training. And I'm not talking about just cadets. I'm talking about continual training of various kinds. For instance, we use a track out by Deming for safe driving and pursuit driving training. That's something we want to bring to our area here. So we want to bring it in. The other thing is we're looking at is a real-time crime center. And I won't go into too much of the details of that, except to know that we have the beginning of that already. In other words, we have certain technology we've bought into in order to essentially be a force multiplier without the human aspect of it. We have an intel unit that's operated, I believe, almost 5 years now. I brought that on immediately. And those are aspects of real-time crime. And really what that is us being able to be much more responsive quickly when crime occurs, especially in progress crimes. And it's a combination of personnel and technology. So it's things that's regional. That is something that will benefit the city of Anthony, the city of Sunland Park, you know, but for us to write one grant for just us really doesn't make sense, or request money. It's really much more beneficial to our entire county to be a collaborative effort. And I'm pretty sure if I say to a smaller entity, hey, you can come over and use our real-time crime center at our, based on the funds we receive, nobody's really going to turn that down. But we see that as our role. We are the first or second largest entity in the county. So between us and the city of Las Cruces, we can drive a lot of the dialogue about some of these more cutting-edge 21st century efforts. So that's the kind of thing we're looking at, is this combining resources. And when we look at grants now, and the undersheriff goes to Santa Fe to speak, it's going to be about a collaborative. She'll speak about us directly, but with the idea in mind that we are going to work together and bring this to us.
I have a question, Sheriff. So in the packet it says that some PR duties and social media management are part of what's going on here. I know a few months ago it was kind of a big issue that you guys didn't have a PIO. Is that something that Undersheriff Beta will be dealing with a little bit?
We are not going to saddle her with the title of PIO. However, we are going to say that when she brings news to us, she can certainly be a conduit for you about things that are down here. On a day-to-day basis, no. I will say I pretty much abandoned trying to get a PIO. And so this was a great kind of experience for us to be able to say, when you're bringing news to us from Santa Fe, it can bring it to all of you as well. Justin.
So just kind of to be clear on the lines of command, if there's a situation where you're unable to be the sheriff of Doña County, does that make the undersheriff the sheriff, or how does that line of command work?
Yeah, well, she's a direct line to me. So historically in our state, it would be below me and between me and the major or the captains. It isn't. She's a direct line off to the side from me. But again, she has the power and authority to say certain things. So let me give you a poor example. I'm one of the only ones that can declare a state of emergency. strange, I know. In my absence, she can declare a state of emergency. It would be more for those larger picture things where that power has been expressly granted, do you see? But operationally, certainly she has the authority to come around and ask anybody for anything or get information or be respected as the person she holds. But really, it's truly a different path. And as I say, we're breaking new ground here. That's how we hope it will function.
And then off of that point, breaking new ground, is this a model that you've seen implemented in other counties, or is this something that you guys have come up with as part of the?
I've never seen this.
So then that leads to my next question. What are you using as like criteria to determine like whether or not this new process will be successful?
Well, we don't know. You know, I tell my staff, I've said it 1,000 times, let's date an idea, not marry it. A government loves to marry an idea and go sink to the bottom of the swimming pool on a bad idea. So we don't do that here. What we do is we try things, some things. I will say, I don't think anything has drastically failed. Some things could be better, so we've made them better. So this is somewhat of that. This position is funded statutorily, whether it's filled or not. So I wasn't real concerned about filling it early on once I took that move initially to vacate it. But it really came about when we looked at our priorities going forward from now. You know, where is our voice most heard? I'm called more and more on a national basis, which I think sometimes people here don't realize that I represent, I'm a vice chair of an organization that has 7,300 national members. So our voice and our public, our public face is getting noticed a lot of places. So it's a way of capturing those opportunities, do you see? Because it's not something one person really could do. And yet, like I said, when I'm given an opportunity to go to Washington on early childhood care, who would have dreamed, right? Who would have dreamed you'd be there? I've been to a meeting at Bureau of Justice Administration on how to refine grant applications and how to make responding and reporting on grants more manageable for small and rural agencies. So that's the kind of thing where, as I've pushed some of that out, we need that presence beyond me. And that sort of gave rise to this idea as well. And I will say, my command and I, we're fairly collaborative. Would you say that, sir? Yeah, good answer. We are fairly collaborative about some of these decisions, so I tend not to make them without input. And this is something I think really has been in process and been boiling for about the last 6 or 8 months, where we didn't quite know what it would look like, and here we are.
So, you talk about how it's been several years since Doña County has had an undersheriff. Can you talk about the reasoning why now the county really needs this position?
Well, it's somewhat of what I say. One of the things I realized when we got away from addressing our immediate concerns internally, we've had some time to really kind of take a breath and say, what's next? What's next for us? Yes, this is my last term, but as I've said, I'm no lame duck. I work every day, and I'm going to work till the last day I'm here. And what do we do to continue to move us forward? And this has really been the result, as I say, of our presence both statewide and nationally pulling us in this direction. And so now seem to be a very appropriate time to seize some opportunities that are waiting right out there for us, but we wouldn't have had personnel to really handle that particular effort. It's not a one-off. These legislative efforts are really a full-time job. They are really talking about networking and building relationships beyond what one person like me could possibly do.
Is there going to be an overlap period where you're a counselor and the sheriff?
I don't.
I don't. Officially, my term formally ends on December 31st, and I do not know my exact swear-in date for undersheriff.
We anticipate her start date at the beginning of the pay period, which would be December 17th. And again, she may be here a little bit while she's over there. I think she has one more.
My last council meeting is December 18th.
Yeah. So her role has really pretty much come to an end over there especially during the holidays. Anybody else? Thank you.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
I just want to ask this question. You touched on this several points during this conference, but I wanted to ask this question directly. As you said, this is a role that is traditionally filled by someone who's a police officer. So why do you feel that in this circumstance, having a non-police officer is the right thing to do? And also, does that create any concern for you regarding how rank and file members of your police department might feel about that?
Well, I will say, again, this was a collaborative decision from the command and I, and we've started addressing the rank and file starting at 6 a.m. We've gone through everybody today and pointed out the things I've talked to you about, as well as an organizational chart so that they know precisely where she falls in that. And I think, well, I will say this. After 5 years, our people pretty much know we're all about different, and we're all about being, to overuse the phrase, thinking outside the box. So I think they're pretty well versed on the fact that there is a command in place. I believe that uniforms should run daily operations. I'm pretty old school about that, and I don't think that will change. So I'm not particularly worried about it. The only thing, we're just going to have to get into this process, and if we have to refine, amend, adapt, we're all of us are pretty good at that after a few years. Anything else? Great. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate the time. I know you have other things to do out there. Anybody need these? You got them? Okay, great.
I apologize for the microphone.
Hey.
Please.